allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, my activity report fairly brief. One meeting of note, we got a preview of the draft downtown study that we've had Bolton make get us contact on. Jana King and Chuck DeWolf were there, and we're looking at presenting that to the council on the 23rd of September, is that right?
Correct.
So after she makes some adjustments, that should be coming to the council at that second meeting in September. So with that, I'll pass it off to Council Member LeBeau.
I had a LMC Improving Local Economies Committee meeting, and that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Council Member Hertzberg.
Absolutely nothing.
And proud of it, the way it sounds.
Yeah, well, it's good.
All right. Okay.
Mini vacation.
Council Member Inke.
We had a working session with some members of the Joint Planning Board and then EDAP meeting.
Excellent. Council Member Gilmore.
At a liquor store committee meeting, EDAP, and then I went to the liquor store event.
Story event. All right. And how'd that go?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. All right, thank you. And we do have one department head report, and that is Police Chief Paul Wagner. Chief Wagner?
Thank you. So we got a couple things to talk about. First, kind of give you a recap. Back on June, I believe it was 29th, we had our night community picnic. Or excuse me, we had our night and Shop with the Cop golf tournament. I don't think I've talked about that yet. We had 68 golfers. We've had it was our best turnout yet. And we were able to raise enough money to not only support this year's stuff, but put some money away for future projects and other things that we'd like to maybe start bringing in. On August 6th, we had the night community picnic. We had approximately 350, 400 people that showed up. It was, again, another well-attended event. Everybody had a good time, and we're looking at some new things for 2020 to add to it and kind of spice things up maybe a little bit. Met with the school district last week to discuss the start of school and the SRO program. So we have that kind of set, and I believe both Jerome and Tony are really excited to get started, and I know the district and myself are eager to see the consistency that we can provide with those two guys in there. The department's going to be, we did our firearms training on that same day last week, and we've got use of force coming up here in the next couple weeks for the department for our annual required training. For those that don't know, the forfeitures, two of the forfeitures that were approved last March to be disposed of are finally up on eBay for sale. Mm-hmm. Finally found some time to get those listed. I believe the last I checked, the current bids were about $750 and $550. So there's certainly a potential deal to be had, but they are also lower end vehicles, so not in the best shape, to say the least. Another project we're going to be working on is Stearns County, through their emergency management stuff, is looking to put together a list of all the locations throughout the city for AEDs. That way, in a cardiac emergency, the dispatchers can advise the callers of where an AED, the closest AED to them, is located. So we'll be starting soon, starting to compile that list. I would ask that any businesses or anybody that may have an AED in their facility to either contact us or reach out so that we can get that added. And then once that's done, I believe Stearns County is going to have a full comprehensive list of that throughout the entire county. A little update on the K9. So to date, we've had 16 uses of the K9. The most recent ones have netted approximately 6.7 grams of methamphetamine in St. Cloud. Jerry was used for an assistance artel that netted some heroin. We've been tracking several different suspects We've also obtained and were graciously given a bite suit by the Wake Park Police Department after they, I don't want to say disbanded their canine program, but temporarily have put it on hold. And then we're also waiting to hear back on a grant for bulletproof vest and whatnot for Jerry. And then lastly, we did run into a potential problem with the canine squad last week. I believe it was last Tuesday. Tom responded to assist the city of Melrose. They had a shooting up there. As he was responding to it, it sounds like the transmission potentially, I don't want to say overheated, but certainly got really warm. Had some oil leakage from that. In talking with Brian on that, it sounds like the squad, for the time, is drivable. There's, you know, it's kind of one of those that has to be monitored at this point. The potential is there that that transmission could completely go out on that squad sometime in the near future. Tom knows what he needs to do in order to, you know, try and keep that from happening. There is an opportunity and a couple different opportunities that I just wanted to bring up to get some, I guess, advice from the council on at this point. Wake Park, it being that they are getting or have kind of paused their canine program, they do have a 2012 canine squad that for the most part is fully outfitted. They had started doing some of the deconstruction on it. I asked them to hold off. The only thing they've taken out is a canine kennel. I talked with their sergeant today. That kennel is actually still all there, so it can be put back in. It's got about 84,000 miles on it. It's a two-wheel drive, pursuit rated Chevy Tahoe. Sounds like the only issues that they've had with it were some engine issues that ultimately they fixed approximately 3 years ago, so it's pretty much like a brand new engine, they said. And they would be willing to look at selling that vehicle to the city if we were so inclined. I also reached out to some of the vendors today as far as the availability for Chevy Tahoes. Ranger Ford, who currently has the contract for the state, indicated to me that if you don't order a vehicle by September 30th, so if you order it after the 30th, it looks like you're looking at an October of 2020 delivery date. If you order before the 30th, it's looking like late February for a delivery of a new vehicle. The sales rep there did indicate that he does have a couple Tahoes that he has pre-ordered for stock items that should be coming in within the next month. So sometime probably mid to late September. So just wanted to kind of give you guys that information and get any advice or direction from the council on how you'd like to proceed. My fear at this point is if the transmission does go out on that vehicle, where are we left?
Do you know how much Sartell would want for their SUV?
In talking with Dave Ventry, the chief up there, he said that they would want, that he's looking for somewhere between 9 and 11. I did a search on Kelley Blue Book. That's probably pretty accurate. Most everything would stay in that vehicle that's there. There shouldn't be anything required from the city that would need to be purchased that ultimately couldn't be used in a different vehicle later on.
Paul, what did they say for a price on that pre-ordered one?
So the pre-order squad, the total on that one came to $37,000 and some change, $37,042 and 23 cents.
And that, in addition to that, we would need to outfit it for a canine, or is that?
Correct. Some of the equipment we already have, some of the equipment would have to be purchased. The other thing we're kind of bumping into when we look at the purchase of these cars in general is Chevy is changing their body style, bless their heart, in 2021. So to buy things, we have to kind of monitor and see what exactly and how exactly would we want to go about doing it, because if we buy anything for a 2020, it's probably not going to fit the 2021. The stuff for the 2012s won't transfer over to a 2020 or a 2021. So even buying Wake Park Squad, you know, when we do purchase another K-9 squad, we would need to buy all new equipment, so.
How are we sitting for the funding for the K-9 vehicle?
So, based on our current funding, we have roughly $59,000 in between forfeiture funds, capital improvement, and our K-9 fund. That doesn't include the $22,000 transfer for this year. And then there's the proposed funds for 2020, which on the current budget is $27,000, which is what I've budgeted for every year. So there should be enough funds in those three accounts, between those three accounts for both squad cars. The plan and the depreciation scale was always set up to replace and have those squads purchased in 2020.
What's the year of the current K-9 unit?
The Crown Victoria. Is that an 09? I believe it's an 09.
That's the one we got from Wilmer?
Right. And I will say this, you know, I talked with Tom a little bit about it. Depending upon the direction we'd like to go or we decide to go, if we look at purchasing, say, the Wake Park car, I think I'd probably ask the council, since none of that stuff would go over, that we simply store that car in our cold storage. On the off chance something happened, then we at least have a backup for the backup.
The Crown Vic.
Correct.
Okay. And an issue with the cage size for Jerry?
It's a bigger vehicle. I mean, they were running their K-9s in there and didn't have any issues, so it should be okay. Neil, you had a question?
What's the condition of the tranny in Old Blue?
Not where I would probably trust it to swap it out. And that's the other part that Renee and I talked about this morning. My concern is when I look at things, I'm trying to figure out the best way not to spend needless money. And to replace a transmission in that Crown Victoria right now, if the Blue Squad's transmission unequivocally wouldn't have, you know, we could say, yes, this is perfect, it'd be fine. You know, we could probably get away with $1,200, $1,200 to $1,500 just for taking it out and putting it in. My concern is if that transmission blows up and we have to replace the transmission, you know, are we talking $3,000, $4,000? Well, that's potentially half of what we could pay Wake Park for their car. And we potentially, I talked with Avon PD today, they have a car that they bought. They've got a Chevy Tahoe very similar to this, 2012, rear-wheel drive that they bought from Albany PD several years ago. Their car currently has 135,000 miles on it. Corey said that the only issues that they had with that squad were the motor mounts, which they had to replace on theirs. Other than that, he said it's been perfect, so.
And a two-wheel drive is okay, or?
They get stuck back.
Oh, Dick's two-wheel
in the
drive.
parking lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you take it for what it's worth. I mean, it's a two-wheel drive vehicle in Minnesota in the winters. You know, it does sit higher up than, say, the Crown Victoria, which is only a two-wheel drive vehicle, so. You know, you can't go plowing through, you know, 3 feet of snow.
So
Go ahead.
if we were to look at purchasing the vehicle from Wake Park, when would you want to replace that? Would you be waiting till 2021 then?
I think that would kind of depend upon what the wishes were of the council. I will be perfectly honest, and I think Renee can echo where my concern is. My concern is if we buy the Wade Park car, what happens if it goes down? You know, and that's where I've struggled with this, and that's kind of why I'm bringing it forward tonight, because I've gone back and forth looking at that. I mean, in theory, could that car last us another 3 years? If, you know, if we figure Tom's gonna average 15,000 miles on that car a year, 45,000 miles, I mean, we're only at 130. So it could last 3 years.
You usually run your squads right now up to what?
Well, we used to run them up to about 100,000 miles. With switching to an SUV over a sedan, and in an effort to kind of keep funds, you know, in check, I'm running them over 100,000. The squad that I currently use as the take-home squad, and we kind of have as our backup squad, or the backup squad, has about just under 150,000 miles on it. Our second main patrol squad, which is slated to be replaced and cycled out of main use in 2020, has, I want to say, right around 120-some thousand miles. So we are running them longer, but I also think they're lasting a little bit longer simply because, you know, we are talking an SUV.
One thing we talked about too was potentially using if we were to get the Tahoe from Wade Park, that when the new K-9 squad is here, to rotate or sell that to the airport and replace that courtesy vehicle, which is, would you say that was Ron, a 2004? 2004. Crown Victoria also. Correct. Yeah. Which potentially would have to be replaced at some point in time too.
The other concern that we talked about is at 90,000 miles, are we obtaining a vehicle that's at its point where it's gonna start maintaining us to death? That was another concern that we talked about today is, you know, with a new vehicle, you've got the warranty, everything's covered. You're not putting any more money into it until it gets past that warranty, where at this point, the Wade Park has no warranty left. So anything that happens is gonna be cash.
And he has those vehicles on hand?
What's that?
He has a Tahoe on hand?
Ranger, yes. Well, it's coming in late September, he said.
And then nothing will be good for the next cycle.
Correct.
So yeah, how much does it cost to outfit them?
I believe what I gave and what I presented to Budget and Finance was we were looking at about, we're probably looking at about 43 to 44,000 for the K-9 squad.
No, I mean for outfit a Tahoe.
Yeah, that would be all told.
No, what's the cost to outfit it so you can't swap the parts from this one to the next
Oh,
one?
gotcha. Let's see.
About
so-
$5,000?
No, we got about $6,000. At least that's what the figure was. But to take into, I guess, consideration with that, that was transferring the radio, camera system, printer, some of the equipment from the back, the hot pop system that we got from a grant. So if we were to completely have to buy all of that stuff, it's gonna be more than that. Some of that stuff should transfer, so roughly the install and equipment that we're figuring is gonna be about $6,000.
Is a new one going to be more fuel efficient than the used one? Same powertrain and everything?
I can't answer that, I have no idea.
Are there hybrid options that are worth looking into?
Ford does have a hybrid option, but you're talking about I don't know, $6,000 to $7,000 more, than their base price package. The one thing I will say is, I think there's gonna be a stronger push. I'm hearing that for this next cycle in 2020, they're still allowing the gas and means. After that, they're pretty much gonna move away and the hybrids are gonna be a standard engine. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. It could just all be talk.
It's one of those things, we wish we had a crystal ball to know how long it would last.
Right, because if you buy a new one, you're gonna take a 6 to whatever thousand loss instantly, because you can't transfer any of the equipment. Correct?
Correct. But I'll be
So then
honest,
you come down to the fine line where the $11,000 one has everything in it.
It doesn't have a cage anymore.
You said there was
Yeah.
a cage.
they can put it back in.
Oh, they
They have all
They
the pieces for
didn't
it.
get rid of the cage.
So that makes it a little bit closer, then you're looking at only a 5,000 compared to 11,000, because you lose 6 on the new one.
But then the equipment that you put into the Wade Park one, would
That'll-
that,
Sorry, that'll transfer over.
it'll transfer to the new one in 2 years?
Yeah, if we, because the only thing that we would be putting into that, from what I'm told, they'll pretty much leave everything in the car. It's completely outfitted. The only thing we would probably, or potentially cycle out would be the camera system, which will transfer. And then their sergeant thought they might be pulling the radar out of that, but we were looking to buy a new radar anyways, and that will transfer as well.
So, because I know Tom and you guys had gotten a lot of things donated for the new squad.
Correct.
So what is the, I mean, because he's got the computer and the printer, and so what would be the large ticket item that, because you said he's got just the kennel?
The kennel's gonna be about anywhere between $3,000 to $4,000. So the kennel, the light bar,
I thought he got a light bar.
it's probably questionable whether or not it'll transfer or not. I don't think we know whether or not it's gonna transfer off of the Crown Victoria to that car, or to the Tahoe.
Gorilla Glue?
And earlier today, I probably would have told you that I was against Wade Park Squad after talking with Chief Nellis up in Avon. I'm less concerned about the maintenance on it, just based on what they're telling me they've had. With their sergeant, Wade Park sergeant telling me that they have the kennel that can be put back into it. I'm less concerned about that. What I talked with Renee about was, I don't want to spend $3,000 and try and find a kennel that fits a 2012, and then have to turn around and spend $3,000 to find a kennel that's going to fit a 2021 or a 2022. I mean, that just, financially, that doesn't make sense.
Do we need to make a decision on this right now?
Well, you don't have a
Not
price.
right now, because we'd have to get down into new business, but.
You don't have a price yet, right? On the used one?
On the Wake Park one,
Yeah.
it would be somewhere between 9 and 11, whatever we can negotiate.
So you don't have a price yet?
Let's offer 9.
I mean,
My position is on that 9 side,
yeah.
but
My thinking, I guess, is that it would make sense to look a little bit more into that possibility and then wait to order till the 2021 model, rather than invest a bunch of money into a 2020 model we're not going to be able to reuse that equipment. But that's my opinion, I don't know.
Would a new vehicle last the time of Jerry?
yeah. The plan, I mean, the plan is and was, that the new squad basically lasts the life of the dog. I'll be honest, if we look at the Wake Park option, that squad will probably outlast the dog.
The one with,
like a new
90,000
vehicle,
miles?
no, that one won't. We would really have to push that one to get that to last. No, if we purchased a new one, say in a year or two, or a couple years, that would probably outlast Jerry.
Cause a dog lasts how long?
I'm figuring about 8 years.
8 times 15.
Should be about 120.
90, 105. So about 105,000 miles, you bought one today.
I'm gonna add.
Right, but we're not thinking about ending this program when Jerry's retired at this point, you know? I mean, the purpose of putting a canine program in place was so that it would be a long-term thing, not just the life of Jerry and then we're done.
I guess I'd like to get a firm price on the Wake Park. Is it 9? Is it 11? $2,000 is $2,000.
I guess the big thing I'm looking at from you guys is if that's an option, I will get Wake Park to, kind of hold on it. We can, I can work with them. I mean, obviously that car, if that's something we're looking at, is still gonna be there. I mean, they will hold it. If that's not a direction that the council wanted to go, then I definitely would have, my recommendation or request would be that we move forward on getting one of the stock ones that Ranger's bringing in. My fear would be that if that transmission blows, we're either spending $3 to $4 grand to replace the transmission, or we're out the use of our canine for months. Because we can't have them sliding around in the back of one of the other squad cars.
Even if we took one of the stock ones, you said those aren't coming till the end of September?
Correct.
And then how long would it take to get it outfitted for the canine?
Probably, I don't know, a couple weeks to a month.
So you're looking at.
Well, I shouldn't say that. A lot depends upon how long it takes the equipment to show up. If, if Satina or Havas, the cage suppliers, or, company, if it takes them 6 weeks to get the cage, I mean, that's 6 weeks minimum just to get the equipment for it. So that would be the other component here, is how long will it take to get equipment in? And sometimes I have seen equipment take months. I mean, to the point where, the car normally takes 3 to 4 months to get after we order it. I'm calling at 3 months going, where's my cage? Where's my light bar? I haven't seen them yet, and I got a car coming soon. So, I mean, we could be looking at a couple months out just even on some of that equipment.
Well, I think still, I guess in light of that, my recommendation would be to talk with Wade Park a little more seriously about what they're looking for.
Can we get this on the next meeting and have
I'll put
figures
this,
and,
put this on new business item I, so we can really discuss that. We're kind of getting out of the report, but you stick around, you've got a couple other items on here, so we'll hit that item I right after the rest of it, all right?
I'll still be here.
You'll still be here, all right. Anything else to report?
No, that was it. Sorry.
That's probably the longest report on record.
I went back to my early days.
Okay, thank you. Then we have the consent agenda, which are the minutes from those 6 meetings there, the 2 council meetings, Public Works Board, Liquor Board, Planning Board, and the EDA Board, and then the vouchers on page 1 of the update totaling $281,496.16. And the news that due to the passing of Nancy Ellis, who was a longtime member on the board, lived out by had a summer place out by Veterans Park, so she's been on the board for quite a long time there. Park and Tree is recommending appointing Deb Michalski to the board effective immediately. And then a motion to approve Lee Schlaper and Jason Ruoff to attend the 2019 Water and Wastewater Certification Refresher and Exam from September 30th to October 2nd in St. Cloud.
I'll move we accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Rinky. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, that carried. All right, then Ron had passed around the tree list here. I'll give us a verbal report on the Tree City list.
Great, thank you. Obviously, the city does have a permitting process for the trees that we do allow in the boulevards and the park areas. And that is to make sure that the right tree gets into the right location. Part of the discussion there was, or at least there was a strong discussion in favor of not allowing trees in the boulevard anymore. However, that was not a recommendation, but it is strongly recommended when we do talk to everybody. On the city's portion, obviously, trees cost us a lot of money over the years, and we're out there trimming them all the time. If a storm comes, they are a liability to the city. And I think people take a little more ownership if they are on their own property. So, but we did update the tree list, obviously. The American elm is no longer on there, the ash tree is not on there, and I think there was a few others that were also taken off. But I think the committee did an excellent job in reviewing it, and it is a recommendation to approve it.
Is what you have for the handle, is that available on the website, city website?
The tree list?
Yes.
It will be,
Okay,
once we get it updated.
good.
I'll make the motion to approve the city tree list as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by LeBeau, seconded by Rinky to approve the city tree list as presented. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, that carried. Okay, and Paul, if you had a little break, you're up again now to give a verbal report on the sexual assault investigation policy.
Thank you. So during the 2019 legislature, the state passed a law requiring all police departments in the state of Minnesota to adopt a policy regarding investigation of sexual assaults. The policy that's before you guys is essentially a slightly modified version of the recommended or post model policy that they put together. Pretty much the only things that changed was we inserted our name, and I think there might have been one other minor item that didn't pertain to us, just because of our location that came out. But for the most part, it's just our name. And with this policy, it is something that, even though we went through our post audit, we'll have to notify the post board, send down a copy of our policy, that sort of thing, so they can sign off and give their blessing.
And I'm assuming there are no concerns legally or with any other policies that the city has in place?
You know, and I think Paul, as he indicated, has done a pretty good job of mostly adopting policies that are pretty closely reflective of what the post board requires. You don't really have a lot of leeway on these. I don't know exactly what he changed from the post board policy, but generally the post board, sometimes their policies are for bigger departments that have multiple levels of rank and different things that don't make sense to us. I think he just tries to take that stuff out and make it make sense for our department.
Move to approve Chapter 25, the investigation of sexual assault of the Painesville Police Department policy manual.
Second.
Motion by Rinky, seconded by LeBeau to approve Chapter 25, investigation of sexual assault of the Painesville Police Department policy manual. Discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, that carried. And another verbal report there, Chief, about the agreement with the Minneapolis Department for access to APS.
So what this is Minneapolis PD, and I'm not sure exactly when they did it, but quite some time ago, they created a system. It's an automated property system. Basically what it does is it takes all items that are put into the pond system across the state, puts it into one single database that gives departments and agencies who have access to this the ability to search for stolen property. So what this agreement is this is giving us access at a cost of $204 a year for the entire department to be able to access the system to assist with our property crime investigations. So when people have items stolen from, say, their storage unit, from their homes, in general, just anything that's stolen, or maybe a suspect that we have who's been doing a rash of burglaries, gives us the ability to search for the property or the person that we suspect may be doing it. And we actually used this, I believe, in a credit card fraud case as well, because one of the cards was used at a pawn shop. We were able to find out that they purchased an item from the pawn shop, so we were able to tie that person into that. So it's kind of got a wide range of applications when it comes to the investigation side of things.
I was just wondering on page 30 of the agenda, the data collection and maintenance fee, what is that, what does that pertain to?
Page 38, you said.
The 90 cents.
Page 8 of the
Each
contract.
transaction.
Yeah, the 90 cents for each billable transaction.
I believe what that is that deals more with the pawnbrokers and them. Our costs are fixed at 204.
Okay.
So,
That's the way it reads. Seems to.
yeah. Because we don't have the ability to do any data entry or put any property in there or anything like that. All we have the ability to do is basically look up the, for property or persons, that sort of thing. And I guess I don't know if I noted, so for this year, if the council approves this agreement, this year we'll have a prorated rate. So being that we're in August, our cost for this year are probably gonna be less than $100.
I'll make the motion to approve the agreement between the City of Minneapolis and the Painesville Police Department for access to the APS system.
Second. Motion by LeBeau, second by Hertzberg to approve the agreement between the City of Minneapolis and the Painesville Police Department for access to the APS system. Discussion on that. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, and that carried. And winter around the corner here coming up. Got a notice that our snow plowing fees may go up a little bit. Ron?
Yes, Public Works, we did review the contract, and they're going from 122 up to 125, or 2.4% increase there. The retainers will remain the same. I guess the biggest issue discussed there was that I have a discussion with them to make sure we plow curb to curb, not that at the end of the year we end up with a 20-foot street instead of 30. So, but after that discussion, there was a motion that they recommend a contract with D&D snow plowing.
I'll make a motion to approve the snow plowing contract between the City of Painesville and D&D Snow Plowing.
Second.
Motion by Gilmore, seconded by a couple people here. I think I heard LeBeau. Motion to approve the contract between the City of Painesville and D&D Snow Plowing. Discussion?
Your Honor,
Yep.
Ron, did you clarify the retainer fee? Was there something different with that than in the past?
So the retainer went from 10 hours down to 8 hours. The total remains at 1,000. But there was an inconsistency in the previous contract where the two didn't match, but it does now.
Are we clear then?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, and that carried. And the fire training contract with the Bridgewater College.
Your Honor, I was speaking with the Fire Chief, Andy Soini, prior to the meeting. We had Bill Spooner review this contract, and he had some suggested changes. And Shane Schmidt is working with Bridgewater to to get those changes in place, so
Okay.
we'd like this tabled.
Okay, we will put this on our next agenda then. That'll shorten the meeting by a little bit, and so then we'll go down to the drawdown level sensors for wells 5, 6, 7, and 8. Ron?
Yes, these well level sensors, they were identified when we did our wellhead protection program. And we did apply for a grant from it, and we did receive a grant up to $7,000 for the installation of these. So the remaining $889 would be our local cost to get these all installed. They will be put into our SCADA system, so any time of day we can read via our phones or the SCADA system, you know, what our drawdown levels are. So that also did go through Public Works, and they have recommended it.
Are they checking all the wells or all the little points for drawdown?
The DNR?
No,
We?
yeah.
Well,
Well, that's the water treatment plant. Forget it. I got a different question. Rock on.
yeah.
What about?
Never mind.
I move to approve the proposal from Automatic Systems Company in the amount of $7,889 for the replacement of the well drawdown sensors.
I'll second.
Motion by Rinky, seconded by LeBeau to approve the proposal from Automatic Systems Company in the amount of $7,889 for the replacement of well drawdown sensors. Discussion on that motion. If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, and that carried. And next, we have a request for a lot split from Keith and Kayla Klein. They want to knock off a little chunk of part of the L part of their lot and add it on to a neighbor's lot to kind of give them a little bigger lot. Mighty nice of them. But we're looking to set a lot split public hearing for Monday, September 23rd, 6:15 PM here at Council Chambers.
I'll make the motion to set the lot split public hearing for Monday, September 23rd, 2019 at 6:15 for Keith and Kayla Klein.
Second.
Motion by LeBeau, second by Hertzberg to set that public hearing for September 23rd at 6:15. Discussion. And just note that is on Lake Avenue and Pomeroy, between back-to-back lots there, kind of. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, none, that carried. And, okay, Ron again for the, where are we at here? Purchase of the fire department Ranger.
Yes, obviously, I think everybody's well aware, the fire department is going to be surplusing the Ranger and that, the aluminum trailer. And at the prices we've seen here, we reviewed it and felt pretty strongly it could, support our department quite well, obviously for spraying soil samples with the, you know, we do travel over 1,100 acres of land out there. And there are certain times when a vehicle just will not get out there, and we do end up doing some walking, so I think this would serve us very well out there, transporting gearboxes, et cetera, in town. There's, you know, if we're on a trail or in the park system. Obviously, there's only 75 hours on the unit. The trailer is in very good condition also. So they did make a recommendation that we do approve it, and the funds would come out of the sewer CIP.
Where are you going to keep it?
In his office.
Ouch.
Or do you have space where it's over?
That is the one issue, but maybe we can make room out by the main lift station.
Okay.
There's that little shed out there that we will have to move things around, and we'll have to squeeze it in.
All right.
Maybe you can buy some space from the police department.
Good Lord. Len, you got any more rent?
I'll make the motion to allow Public Works Department to purchase the Polaris Ranger valued at $2,250 and the Luma trailer valued at $1,000 from the fire department for a total of $3,250 with funds to come from the sewer CIP fund.
I'll second.
Motion by Hertzberg, second by LeBeau, as on the action sheet, page 62, for the sale of the Ranger and the trailer from one department to the other. Discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? That carried. Okay, we've had a little time to think about the K-9, and you got a recommendation for Paul?
I would recommend get a firm cost on the 2012 from the Wake Park Police Department, and we can review that on our next meeting, which is in 2 weeks, and then go from there.
Okay.
Do we,
Were they in a hurry to surplus that, or not, or?
No, I think waiting 2 weeks will be just fine. I talked with their sergeant today and told them it may take a little bit to get this before you guys. I don't think they were looking to replace a car until next year anyway, so they've got some downtime too.
We're not spending any money, but just a recommendation. Anybody opposed to that? So we have consensus to
As low as possible.
as low as possible.
8,500?
Yeah.
I think the only thing I'd like to know the final cost if we were to buy new. What would that run us if we were to go that way, and what would we be looking at having to replace on a 2021 body style if that's the way we were going to do it?
Are you talking about ordering one of the stock, the 2020 stock?
If we decided to go that way, what would we pay? And
Right.
knowing that that isn't going to be compatible with the future generation, how much are we losing by outfitting a 2020 model?
Here's the one thing I will tell you, what I'm seeing the trend is no matter what car we buy and when we buy it, we're probably replacing most everything on it with the exception of those items that are universal. So radars, radios, camera systems, that sort of thing. The automakers and the suppliers seem to be paired up, if you will, and they're changing their body styles often enough that we're not able to swap equipment out.
So whether we buy a 2020 or a 2021 in 8 years, we're gonna have to probably end up replacing everything again,
I can't guarantee that that's the case, but
high likelihood.
Probably.
thinking it's a high probability.
Okay.
I mean, we didn't even get through 5 years before, we maybe had 5, 6 tops with Ford before they changed their body style. So,
Okay, well, you've got some time to do some checking, and I know this kind of came up pretty sudden, so.
it did.
Yep,
So I will do what I can and bring it back to you guys at the next meeting.
great, thank you. All right, and then on to old business here, the police and fire wellness plans, and Renee has been working to get a meeting set up here, and with our advisor on that, and that's set for 10:30 a.m. September 5th. Any comments or questions or anything that's come up in the meantime?
No.
Looking at our LMC meeting, this is one of the topics.
Yep.
At 6 o'clock,
That's noted on the.
October 16th, so I think we should maybe wait till we're all well informed and.
Well, I think we need to talk to our attorney, our advisor, labor advisor.
I'd kind of like to see what the LMCs comes up with and how that compares.
Yeah, they're not spending a lot of time on it, it's only an hour, but we'll be hopefully more informed after meeting with this Steckman here.
Can we table this until the next meeting then and
Yep, we'll just
readdress it?
we'll put this on each
It'll be the
agenda
night.
coming up.
Right? Yeah.
Yep. I heard another question or something down here.
I was just wondering if Pamela had an opportunity to give any updated opinions. I know she was out of the office when this last came up. But she maybe hasn't yet since there's a meeting planned.
No, she hasn't.
Okay, that'll be on our next agenda again.
Can we also, can we send this to the league and see if they have any input? Is that possible?
Normally their research department will say, please contact your
Your attorney.
attorney.
Really helpful like that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. It's obviously an issue and question in other areas, so all's got us one step ahead of everybody else. Okay, then on to, oh, I went right by it, the airport. Looking at doing some things out at the airport there. Taxi runway, 8-unit T-hanger, and Ron or Chuck?
Yeah, I can give a quick update. Attached in your packet is a grant agreement from the FAA that we've been waiting for the T-hanger project. This was a project that we actually submitted a grant request for back in June. It'd be a construction of a new 8-unit T-hanger just to the north of the existing hangars. So basically, if the grant agreement moves forward, the project will then be officially awarded. As the council may recall, the funding for this project is basically 90% federal funds, 5% state, and 5% local. So the grant amounts, the federal grant amount is $1,072,308. The state portion is $59,573, and then the local share would be $59,573. As I mentioned, if the grant agreement's approved, we'd move forward with the contracts for the project and then move into construction this fall.
So if they're constructing in this fall, what would be the projected completion date?
Basically, the plan is to get the site ready for the building this fall, and then build the building over winter into next spring.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the grant agreement for the airport improvement excluding land acquisition, resolution 2019-26, authorization to execute MnDOT grant agreement for airport improvement excluding land acquisition, certification, and disclosure regarding potential conflicts of interest, construction project final acceptance, selection of consultants, drug-free workplace, equipment and construction contracts, airport improvement program sponsor certification, and grant agreement, and authorize the mayor and city administrator to sign the documents.
Second.
I didn't catch that. You want to go through that? Actually, no, we have a motion by Gilmore, seconded by Ranky, to approve the grant agreement for the airport improvement, et cetera, there as on page 73, and including resolution 2019-26. Discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Carried. All right. Very timely after just having our fly-in and event out at the airport there that comes before us. A lot of questions about how many hangars were empty, and the question was none. 0. And there's a waiting list, so moving forward. All right. Thank you. And then on to item C in regards to the replacement of the trees and watering for people along the route are included in the street improvement project here. Ron or Chuck?
Yes, there's 2 long-standing policies that we've had for quite a number of years on projects. We've always given residents on the project the opportunity to utilize a little bit of water to seed their grass, and initially we were thinking it was $40, obviously, and we look back and it is $50. The recommendation from the Public Works was $40, but I guess we were under the understanding that's what it had been in the past. This year I doubt anybody's going to utilize that, especially the grass up on Hudson Street. I don't know if anybody's driven that, but that has already sprouted and is looking extremely nice. So the other policy, the tree replacement, again, that is a long-standing policy that we've done for quite a number of years. And on that one, the trees must be planted on the address property, meaning that the tree cannot be taken, or the voucher and the tree utilized out at a lake property are given to their relative or friend or put somewhere else. And also in the very last sentence, and not to be in the street or the boulevard. That was not a recommendation of the park board, so as it stands, yes, they may be planted in the boulevard if they wanted to. But we would encourage the residents to plant them on their own private property.
Okay, so then the way the suggestion motion is here, it said should be planted on the addressed property, not on the street right of way or boulevard.
No, they must be planted on the address property.
Right.
Then strike the
okay.
last.
And
Oh,
strike
okay,
the last
strike the
one.
last,
Yes.
okay. On the addressed property or street right of way,
Yep.
boulevard.
And of the 53 trees, my estimate would be, or probably be about 20, 25 that will get replaced, simply because a lot of the trees were too close together. A lot of them came down because they were right on top the sanitary sewer water lines and will not be replaced, but I guess this is up to the resident.
Well, I move to give a water credit for third and fourth quarters in 2019 and the second quarter of 2020 for residents on the 2019 street project, with a maximum of $50 credit for any property for water usage over the previous year's usage.
Second.
Motion by Rinky, seconded by Hertzberg, as on the action sheet, page 128, the first one, for the water credit discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, none, and that carried.
Then I move to approve a tree replacement program for the 53 trees removed on the 2019 street project with a voucher of up to $200 per tree valid at any city nursery, with the understanding that the new trees must be planted on the addressed property.
Second.
Motion by Rinky, seconded by Gilmore to approve a tree replacement program for the 53 trees that were removed on the 2019 street project with a voucher of up to $200 per tree valid at any city nursery, with the understanding that the new trees must be planted on the addressed property. Discussion. Sir.
You notify the people, Ron, that qualify for the trees, or how does that work?
Yes. Yes, we will.
They all get, if they had 3 trees, they're eligible for 3.
For 3, yes,
And they'll have to be trees from our tree list.
correct.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, none, that carried. All right, that's it for business, informational. We got the September and October meeting schedules, the June, July police report, liquor store report, West Central garbage report for the month, notice of the regional meetings coming up, and everybody got a handout on that also, and then a notice of the Highway 23 Coalition, the mid-general membership meeting coming up Friday, October 18th. Any update? Yes?
I've gotten your reservation for the regional meeting. Anybody else know for sure that they'd like to go?
Neil wants to go to sleep,
Neil?
right?
I want to go to Sleepy Eye.
You wanna, seriously?
Yeah, because I'm off that day.
Okay. Neil Sleepy Eye.
I'll check my calendar and let you know.
Okay. Anybody else know for sure?
I'll be going to one of them. I'll have to shoot you an email with my calendar.
Okay,
Yes, same here. I'll go to one of them, but
okay. Sounds wonderful.
I don't see one in Hawaii, but
October 9th, be nice to go up to Chisholm, nice
I think I
drive.
sent you an email on that, Clyde.
There's nothing else? We're adjourned?